Sweet camera. Can I see it?
Oh, sure. I just got it dialed in perfectly. Aperture priority is my jam.
Aperture priority? You're letting the camera make the decisions for you?
It works. I pick the f-stop and it does the rest. I'm still getting good shots.
Aperture priority? That's like karaoke with autotune. You sound good, everybody's happy, but did you really sing?
Okay, it works for me.
So you're trying to get the perfect shot, but every time you press the shutter button, it feels like the camera's laughing at you. Too bright, too dark, or just ugly.
I mean, it's not that bad.
Welcome to auto mode, where the camera tries to be your photographer, but ends up making every shot look like a bad school portrait. You point, you click, and somehow you end up with an overexposed shot of your dog's butt instead of that perfect sunset. It's like letting the toaster pick your breakfast. Sure, it's easy, but where's the flavor? With manual mode, you get to choose every part of the recipe and get exactly what you want.
Okay, but how am I going to learn it?
Have I got the YouTube video for you? Okay, let's take the ship off autopilot and dive into manual mode. It's not that hard, I promise. And for the skeptics, stick around to the end and I'll explain 10 scenarios where manual mode will save the day. I'm Brenda Bergreen and I'm here to help you master manual mode so that you can capture photos that are truly stunning. First things first, why manual mode? Well, when you shoot in auto mode, including aperture or shutter speed priority, your camera decides everything for you. Aperture, shutter speed, ISO. By using manual mode, you take control of these key settings, giving you the freedom to capture your images exactly how you want them. Manual mode is the key to creating better images with better exposure, sharper focus, and more creative control. But if you're just starting out, it can feel a little intimidating. Don't worry. We're going to break it down step by step so you'll feel comfortable and confident using manual mode. To start, you need to understand 3 core settings in manual mode: aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. Aperture, also known as f-stop. The size of the aperture, wide or narrow, determines how much light the lens lets in. Aperture is measured by the f-stop setting. F over 2.8, lots of light. F over 22, very little light. Aperture also determines the depth of field in your photos, meaning how much of the photo is in focus. Wide apertures, like f2.8, will give you a shallow depth of field, great for portraits where you want a blurred background, known as that bokeh effect, which you can learn more about in this video. Narrow apertures, like f8 or f16, keep more of the image in focus, which is ideal for landscapes. Remember, a lower f-stop number means a wider aperture and a higher f-stop number means a narrower aperture. Number 2 is shutter speed. Shutter speed controls how long your camera shutter stays open to let in light. It also impacts motion in your photos. Fast shutter speeds like 1 over 1000, 1 over 500 freeze the motion, which is great for action shots or sports. Slower shutter speeds like 1 over 60 or 1 over 30 allow the motion to blur, which works well for creative effects like flowing water or light trails. A pro tip is to avoid camera shake when shooting handheld. Use a shutter speed that's at least 1 over the focal length. So if you're shooting at 50 millimeters, your shutter speed should be at least 1 over 50 to keep things sharp. Number 3 is ISO. ISO controls your camera's sensitivity to light. Higher ISO values like ISO 800, ISO 1600 are great for low light situations, more sensitive to the light. But the downside is that they can introduce more noise or grain into your photos. In bright light, use a low ISO like ISO 100, ISO 200. In low light, you can bump the ISO to 800 or higher to help you get a properly exposed photo. The key is to use the lowest ISO possible without underexposing your image, as this helps keep your photos cleaner with less noise. You'll also get more dynamic range, which is the range of brightness that your camera can capture between the shadows and the lights. Some modern cameras are great at higher ISOs, so it's good to research your camera and know what your max ISO tolerance is. On to balancing the 3 settings. Here's the tricky part. Getting the right exposure requires that you balance these 3 settings: aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. The goal is to let in the right amount of light so that your photo is neither too bright nor too dark. If you want a well-exposed photo, it's all about balancing aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. So here's how to get more light from each of your settings. Wide aperture, more light in, and shallower depth of field. Slower shutter speed, more time for light to hit the sensor, but can cause motion blur if it's too slow. Higher ISO, more sensitivity to light, but less crisp photos. So while you want sufficient light, you would prefer to shoot as low of an ISO as possible. And for shutter speed, you want something fast enough to freeze the motion of your subject while still letting in enough light, unless you want the motion blur for a creative effect. And for aperture, you want a low number to let in light, but a depth of field that allows your subject to be sharp. So onto the exposure triangle. How do we figure out how to balance all three? The key to success in manual mode is the exposure triangle. Here's how it works. If your photo is too bright, you can lower the ISO, increase the shutter speed, or narrow the aperture. If it's too dark, you can raise the ISO, slow down the shutter speed, or open up the aperture. It's all about experimenting and finding the right combination for every scene. And remember, every photo is different, so don't be afraid to adjust as you go. As you learn, this will get easier and easier, and you'll be changing your settings less because you'll automatically know which of those three you want to change. Next, let's talk about some practical tips for shooting in manual mode. Here are a few practical tips to help you when you're shooting manual. Practice in different lighting conditions. Start practicing in bright light, then challenge yourself in low light. This will help you understand how each of your settings impacts your photo in the different lighting conditions. Next, choose one setting to play with and learn the impact that changing that setting has on your photo. If you're shooting mirrorless, the digital viewfinder will give you immediate feedback on if your exposure is right. When you rotate your setting dials, you'll see an immediate effect on the brightness of your screen. Otherwise, on a DSLR, you can use a histogram or take test shots to see if your exposure is balanced. Generally, choosing the lowest aperture your lens will allow will help keep your shutter speed fast and your ISO low. However, if you have a 1.8 lens, you might not want every picture at 1.8, especially if you have multiple subjects, because the depth of field might be too shallow. For group portraits, some people will not be in focus if you're on f1.8. Make sure you're shooting in RAW, because this will give you more editing leeway if you under or overexpose by a little bit. More room for error allows you to fix and learn in post-production. If you're working in variable light conditions, it can help to set your ISO for the darker area and then focus on adjusting your shutter speed. Otherwise, you might end up with too slow of a shutter speed because you're just scrolling that dial. Which brings me to my 10 reasons to shoot in manual. Manual mode means no more over or underexposing. Consistent exposure is great for post-production efforts too. Rapidly changing light conditions will throw off your camera's light meter and your exposures can vary wildly. Instead, when you have control in manual mode, you can make sure everything is properly exposed as you move through various lighting conditions. In mixed lighting conditions, such as if your subject is in shade but your background is sunny, you may want to expose for your subject or create a silhouette. Manual mode allows you to choose rather than the camera deciding for you, which is generally means somewhere in the middle that's actually just failing at both. Silhouette is my next reason. The camera won't ever be creative enough to intentionally take a silhouette, since the camera thinks that that's just an underexposed shot, whereas you know that it can be a creative expression. Another one, motion blur is often undesirable, but there are ways to intentionally use it to great effect. And that's only something you can do if you understand and intentionally choose a low shutter speed. This is fun for capturing motion or effects like waterfalls. Starbursts are also fun to play with. At high aperture like f16, you can create a cool starburst effect with the sun. Basically, it's important to understand the exposure triangle so that you can use it creatively and intentionally in all these ways that we're talking about. Another creative photography technique is using off-camera flash, and not knowing the exposure triangle limits you from being able to do that. Another thing is that with the silent shutter on some of the new cameras, you can end up dropping your shutter too slow without realizing it because you're not getting that audio feedback of the click, and you'll end up with blurry pictures. But knowing all your camera settings helps prevent this from happening. And lastly, with low light performance, You get to choose your personal tolerance between ISO grain or shutter speed motion blur. You might feel confident shooting your camera at 1/20th of a second in order to keep your ISO low. Or you might prefer to push your ISO higher in order to capture a fast-moving subject. And this might vary from situation to situation. Full control with manual mode for the win. Now that you know how to shoot in manual mode, the next step is to get out there and practice. Try shooting in different conditions, play around with your aperture, shutter speed, and ISO. If possible, set each one to a different dial on your camera and memorize how to change it. You'll start to get a feel for how it all comes together and how to create your perfect exposure every time. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe for more tips and tricks. And if you have any specific challenges or are struggling with any part of this, drop a comment below and I'll help you out. Next, check out the rest of my playlist on more of the photography basics. I'll see you over there.